Hey everyone, this week we are recapping all of the major crypto news announcements and discussing some interesting things that were said over the last couple of weeks. By Eric Trump, by Eric Trump, some VCs, and a lot more cool stuff. We do a quick recap on Token2049, all the pros and cons, and some interesting findings like tokenized bunkers made out of marble in the Italian mountains, and also talk about the new trends in AI, defense, and other tech companies.
NFA Podcast with Nish and Frackers, all things crypto tech and Web3 markets, trends, and an analysis, but not financial advice.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the NFA Podcast, your weekly podcast where we give you all the news, updates, some really fun stories, and insights into the technology and finance spaces. This does include Bitcoin, crypto. I don't know if you want to separate them. I don't know who separates them. They're the same thing. All of the stocks, technologies, political news, and everything else. And this week, we're going to do a quick recap about Token2049 in Dubai and all of the traffic that it's been causing and the 530 side events that happened over the last 4 days. And we're also going to go through your weekly news.
Isn't that the big thing that everybody wants the list of the side events? That I remember that from Token2049 in Singapore last year.
They have an official side event list on their website always, but for some reason, no one ever knows.
Yeah, and the whole thing is try to get into those events. That's always been the big thing. There's always some party where everybody wants to go at the end of the day. That's usually how it goes. Yeah. Supposedly the action happens, but it's just in the end, it's super sausage fest. It's 99% guys.
I'm like losing my voice after all of the networking, but it's like, they'll be like, we're at capacity now, and then you'll meet someone downstairs and be like, can I have your wristband? They're like, yeah, sure, and then all of a sudden, like 4 more people are at the event. I don't know.
So when you go to those events, let's start with that, because I unfortunately I couldn't make it because we're so swamped this year, but. What's the percentage, male, female, just to be old school and traditional?
It's usually split between 25 to 20% women and the rest being men. The numbers gotten higher. To be honest, it was a lot smaller before. I think there were only like 10%. But it's really funny because, I mean, a lot of men aren't used to seeing...
You're so lying. There's no way it's 1 to 4. All these events I've been to, how long I've been in the space? 7 years. It's like 1 to 10.
There's so many women all of a sudden. And the thing is that the women know what they're doing because, women are these immaculate beings that are able to really identify where they can deploy their strengths. And sometimes some women, and every woman will vouch for this, some women just do it the right way to kind of get what they want, which is usually money or, so on. And a lot of the women at these conferences, I wouldn't even leave the house wearing stuff like that. My mom would probably slap me. I'm 30, turning 31 next week. But, she'd probably like slap me. But I can't tell you, Michael, like the amount of butt cheeks and barely like, and boobs hanging out. I'm just like, bro, you're at a networking event.
I'm appalled. This is disgusting. It's horrible.
I just feel like there should be some form of decorum. Ugh. And especially when you're hanging out with men that don't leave their basement because they're too busy coding.
Especially
Crypto's
those men.
A funny space.
Those are the ones you gotta get. So there were a lot of women, but it's unclear. Well, you said they know what they're doing in the sense that are they knowledgeable about the space and the industry?
Oh, no. I meant like they know what they're doing with their body. No, so let me give you an honest breakdown. So it is about 20 to 25%. On my Twitter recently, like yesterday, I put up a tweet saying, why does every crypto bro show up with like 7 prostitutes at these side events? And I'm not even joking. Almost every single event had escorts because these crypto guys were just picking them up and bring them to the event. And it really makes you think, like, this is usually something that's frowned upon. in traditional
I
finance
think
spaces.
they want to show that they have the money. I think they want to show off that they can pay a lot of women by the hour. It's the new version of a watch, basically.
What's funny about this, though, is that you're in Dubai, where there are so many prostitutes. There's been a boom in prostitution. I don't know how else to put it. It's still illegal, but everyone knows about it. And so now the escorts, they aren't even expensive anymore. So I don't know what to tell you. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, all that aside,
so that was that. So how was Token 2049? How was it?
Super busy. Okay. Honestly, I love Token. I'm a massive fan of Token 2049. It's always a great event. Always has great. Everyone flies in for it. This time, they expected 15,000 people flying in for Token. So they really
and I saw that many
job.
People don't even go to the conference. That's the amazing part. They don't even buy tickets, which is very Southwest like.
Even the people that bought tickets ended up not going because it was so crowded. The venue was at max capacity. There was no space to walk. You ask anyone that went on the first day, they were like, I wouldn't go. I'm not going to go tomorrow. I can't. There's no space to walk. It's like you're shoulder to shoulder with people. You can't even stop and have a conversation because there's just no space. So I'm not sure why they didn't plan for something larger, especially if you accounted for 15,000 people and you're holding it at a venue that can maybe comfortably fit 5 to 7.
So many people fly to these conferences and never go to the conference. It's not so much about knowledge sharing and about knowledge transfer, right? It's more about networking, I'm assuming.
It is, yeah. And you'll always meet the coolest people at these side events. And I have to say, obviously being spread across 530 events, it's really hard to find the exact person that you need. But that being said, there's also a few key events, like you rightly said, that everyone will end up to at the end of the night. I actually had a really funny story. I met this woman from Hong Kong, and she was working at a family office. Super nice, super bubbly, really fun. Like, our energies matched. I was like, where are you going after this? She goes, Aura. I was like, oh, I'm going to Aura as well. And she goes, oh, okay, great. I was like, I'll drop you. I wasn't drinking, I'm driving and showing my team around. So she goes, oh, I have 2 friends. I'm like, it's fine. I have a 7-seater. It's okay. So we get downstairs, and my car has finally made it from Valley. And the girl from Hong Kong, I'm trying not to say her name. She goes, Nish, I think we might just take a cab. I don't want to bother you. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll see you at the event. And then they look at the cab line. They're like, actually, we'll come with you. So I'm like, cool. And I was like, all right, we're ready to go to Aura. So we go from Business Bay to the Palm, which is about 20 minutes. And we finally get to the Palm, and she looks at me and she goes, is this Aura? And I'm like, yeah. And she goes, no, my event said Aura. And I'm like, yeah, this is Aura. And she goes, no.
No, Aura.
She goes, Aura. I'm like, how do you spell it? And now my friend from Ape Terminal is helping out, and he's like, oh, Nish, this says ORA. This is in Business Bay. So I've basically kidnapped her from maybe being 10 minutes away from her event, taken her to the wrong event. And I said, it's okay, we'll get you in, we'll figure it out. And she's like, no, I can't, I don't have a ticket. And then her friends start freaking out, and her friends from Animoca, and the other ones from, some other big, like they were, heavy hitters. And I was like, oh my God, I kidnapped you.
And yours, so I know the place that you went to, ORA, but what's the one that she was supposed to go to? What was the name of that place?
No, she was supposed to go to ORA. Oh. I went to AURA.
Yeah. Well, that's what you get for being an unlicensed Uber driver. There are rules for this. You have to have the app if you want to shuttle people around. You gotta have the app.
Got a 1-star rating for that one. Yeah.
Is there any lesson that we can learn from Token 2049 other than that they should move to a bigger venue? But anything that I and our viewers that were not there should know that were the big takeaways from the event? Any trends? Any conclusions?
Yes. Well, trends and conclusions, I'm not sure. A deal was made though, and this kind of brings me into my news stories if we're ready. Eric Trump was speaking at the conference yesterday, and in doing so, he happened to sign a deal. So you know how a couple of weeks ago I said Abu Dhabi invested in Binance,
Yes.
right? So now they're doing it through World Liberty Finance, which is Trump's token. Um, oh my God, this like it's just such a little mind map here going on. So Abu Dhabi is investing in Binance now through Liberty Finance involving Trump, which is really interesting because at the same time, I don't know if you saw, but there's a company called Movement, and they
Yeah.
basically were partnered with World Liberty Finance, and they ended up completely dumping their tokens. So I'm not exactly sure why Abu Dhabi didn't catch that because the news came out before this deal came out.
And which tokens were they selling? The Trump coin.
Um, Here, I'll tell you. So it's not through the Trump coin. It's so World Liberty Finance is going through their dollar pegged stable coin.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
Got it.
yeah.
And are
So
they investing in Binance through that
yeah,
vehicle?
yeah,
Well, I guess for Abu Dhabi, the relationship with the Trump family is more important than some tokens getting dumped. I
yeah.
mean,
I
that's
don't
what
even
we could
think
assume.
they're not investing in Binance for token though, are they? I believe they're doing it for equity.
No, that's a good point. And then they have to share that equity with World Liberty Finance if you do it through them. I mean, usually that's how
Yeah,
investment vehicles work.
yeah,
If you're an
and
LP in a fund, or then
yeah.
the fund managers take a cut at least.
This was three
Usually.
weeks ago where we covered that. And at the same time, we also said that Trump was looking into investing into Binance. So I guess this is how they ended up doing it. So that went full circle. But going on to Movement Labs, I mean, this one was really interesting. So they basically got their investments through World Liberty Finance as well. They partnered with a market maker, and this comes up every week about manipulation by market makers. But basically, the market makers ended up selling tokens and dumping on their community.
Oh.
They suspended their co founder, and there was $38 million involved in this scandal. And and it's funny because CoinDesk did an amazing job reporting on this, but basically, they went so back and forth that they went through every single agreement, every single draft agreement between the Movement Labs, and their market makers, the revenue generating side of Movement as well, because
Mhm.
obviously the labs is a more non for profit, and then the other side holds the tokens, and then uh, everything involved with World Liberty Finance and so on. Binance delisted them because of the they saw that the market makers were acting weird, so they suspended all of those accounts. But yeah, it's been a huge a huge black hole forming right now in crypto.
And they were working together with World Liberty Finance, Trump family's business.
Yeah,
What a choice of business partner. That's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah. And
Bad
these
for the
guys
business
are
again.
college dropouts, and what Movement Labs was doing was actually, a lot of people believe that they had potential. So now everyone's kind of pointing fingers at each other. They had an advisor that initially was like, don't work with these market makers. I've never seen a worse agreement in my life. They even have email threats, but then the other agreement without any changed
Oh.
terms were still signed by that guy. So I don't know, it's just a complete mess, but we'll keep reporting on that one.
And then we'll link to the CoinDesk article in the show
Yeah,
notes.
yeah,
Good
exactly.
one.
Um, and then finally, I think these are much smaller. And following up from last week, Kuwait is still facing power grid outlet situations. Um,
Because
there
of illegal
comes
Bitcoin mining, right?
Yes, yeah, because of all of the Bitcoin mining, they're still struggling with blackouts.
poor people there. And then
I
if you
know.
don't have Bitcoin, you're suffering, but you're not. Oh,
Yeah.
it's amazing that they're not able to trace those illegal Bitcoin mining places.
I'm
That's
pretty
what I
sure
don't
they
get.
are, but I have no idea. Maybe the guys doing it are powerful. I don't know.
Yeah, and
Just
that's the
some
thing.
stuff just
It's
goes
always
beyond you.
exactly. We don't know,
Yeah.
and that's when you wish there was more free media in those countries. All right.
Yeah.
So the news in the tech world, there's a lot. The earnings reports came out this week, and they were actually rather positive for Amazon, for Meta, pretty much everybody. For Apple, turns out, I don't know if you heard, a lot of people bought iPhones in the US way more than expected, in expectation that the tariffs would raise the price. So a lot of people went out and bought their iPhones 15, thinking the price would go up. So Meta did great, selling our privacy to advertisers that live basically on making other people's lives miserable through social media. Amazon had a record quarter in advertising, nearing 20 billion in advertising in a quarter. So Amazon is becoming a real advertising giant on a total revenue of 120 billion. Amazon is quickly using e-commerce as a vehicle to drive ad sales. So normally you have to have media production to have ad sales, traditionally radio, television and stuff. Yeah. And now you can do e-commerce. And the cool thing I must say for Amazon is the advertising is more relevant, because as you're looking, let's say, for running shoes, you'll get ads for brands of running shoes. So the ads are much more targeted, and also the conversions are higher, and the rates they can charge for that advertising are much higher than on generic stuff where people are like looking for shaving gear, shaving cream, and it suddenly says running shoes. That really doesn't convert as well, so the price is lower. The earnings report was quite positive. However, all the big tech companies that reported this week are very fearful looking ahead. So their statements were all very muffled, hush-hush, like, oh, we don't know what's going to happen next quarter. Of course, no one knows. I think the true impact will be seen over the next quarter. So
yeah, I agree. The markets have been so unstable, and we've seen it in crypto and traditional markets clearly.
And then in the middle of that, Apple came out with sort of, and they didn't really come out, it sort of slipped out that they are rearranging their whole AI unit, and it's being moved around and it's being split up across different divisions, because their whole Apple Intelligence promo that they announced last year, they had this beautiful ad where all these smart things happen. And basically what would happen is, and here comes the claim that only Apple can make. Let's say that you have to pick up your mom from the airport, right? Now you're going to end up at the wrong airport. We just heard that clearly. But let's assume you would know which airport it is, because your talent as an Uber driver, very limited. But still, let's say you're going to go and pick up mom. It would be cool if Apple could tell you your mom's flight is delayed, because Apple knows who your mom is. Apple knows your schedule. And so their AI can measure, in a way, relationships between you and entities, objects, shops, people, meetings, in a much better way than anyone else. However, all this was basically nonsense. It was just, none of it works. So it's just a promo where you get like a message like, hey, mom is coming an hour late. Her flight is now somehow turbulence, and she comes a little later. So you don't have to go to the airport yet. However, leave within 10 minutes if you want.
I said this because Google did the same exact thing. And I remember watching a video in 2014 or something around then. And it was like, oh, you can book your own hair appointments. And then, they were on stage and did the whole demo. And it's like, hi, I'm calling to arrange your hair appointment. And obviously that never happened. That never happened.
Somehow all your examples are usually about hair. And I'm not taking it personal yet, but there is a moment when I think there's a correlation between you just being nasty. Because hair appointments, not all of us have to go to the hair salon every weekend. It's not all of us, it's just some people, are blessed with the hair of the goddess.
I haven't been to a hair salon far too long. Thank you.
Yeah, I can tell. It's adorable. Gosh, shut up. Anyway, so my question to you is, what would you like to have in Apple AI? I think that's really the interesting question. What would we like to have in our iPhones in AI that ChatGPT and all the others don't do?
Okay. So, last week I spoke about Zuvu, right? And I wasn't too sure what I could say. So I was being a bit conservative. Now, this week I've been, hanging out with the team and really getting to know the product inside out, because as they're developing, their team's still working and we're here at the conference. So there's been a lot of new developments going on. And I just find it really interesting the way that AI is shaping out to be. So to give you some background, all of the guys at Zuvu are heavily involved in the AI space. I mean, from coders to being in AI since like 2018, 2017, launching multiple projects. Like they, at this point, have over almost close to 1 million users across 3 different platforms. And one of them was an AI agent that they did on Twitter back in like 2020, I think. So, I mean, they've like, this was before AI agents even became a thing. That AI agent now gets 30 million impressions per month, and it's only for engagement. So really cool stuff. Now, what I've learned is that there is a trend of AI orchestration. Everyone's getting frustrated because all of the AI tools that exist are fragmented, right? They have 8 different tabs open. Certain AI protocols are better for certain tasks than others, and everyone's just tired of it. And so Zuvu is basically doing an orchestration layer. So rather than going to, ChatGPT for this and Gemini for this and DALL-E for your images, you just have it all in one stop shop. But it gets even better because you can collaborate with team members. So it's almost like Figma, but for AI.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Is that coming out anytime soon, or is it being under development right now?
Well, the product's almost ready for deployment. They're just holding off because of market conditions. So it's really cool. I'm really excited. But we were having this discussion about, what the future of smartphone technology is going to be. And I think it's going to be something similar where, it's everything should be made for convenience. That's all people want. And in the hustle culture that we have right now, no one really has time to do anything anymore. Everyone just wants to either outsource it or get someone else to do a personal assistant. AI is made for making your life easier. And so that's what we're going to see out of the technology. I don't know how well Apple or Samsung or these smartphone brands are going to adopt that. I think there may actually be maybe an AI specific phone that comes out, or maybe a new company that just takes the lead.
I think what Apple should do in that regard is make sure it gets integrated with all the services that you use the most. So it's already integrated with your calendar, but with all your shopping sites that you go to, with, I guess, the places where you go to search for answers, I think there is something in this layer approach that Apple should also do, just to be like the buffer between you and all of the services out there, because it knows more about you than anyone else, because you've used it for 15 years. So yeah, it's really crazy. So that was really what's going on in AI this week at Apple, whatever. And you had the Zuvu thing, which is interesting. I'd love to see that. But the other news that I had was just completely different. But it's AI related, of course. It's that the former OpenAI CTO Mira Murati, she comes by often in this podcast because I think it's interesting. She's got a new startup. She left OpenAI. Well, let me go back. She worked at Tesla first, and she's not a computer science engineer, I think, in the sense that she has been able to move from hardware components, Tesla sensors and all this kind of stuff on that division, the automotive self-driving stuff, to a company like OpenAI, became the CTO. So she must be super smart because she worked with the best in AI development. And anyway, she was a CEO for a weekend when Sam Altman was in the fight with his board, and then he was reinstated on Monday. It was a lesson in how not to run a company. The interesting thing is that she now started her own company, Human Machines Lab. It's the one-page website, raising $1 billion and a valuation of $10 billion, I think. But she has apparently, from Andreessen Horowitz, gotten the check with unprecedented amount of control. So it's similar to how Facebook is structured, where Zuckerberg has a lot of control, even though he doesn't have the majority of the shares anymore. And the same thing happened at Google before. That's where everybody gets this from their playbook. Larry and Sergey had control over the board, even when they had less than 50% of the shares. Now, this Mira Murati has no real track record as an entrepreneur yet, but neither did Mark Zuckerberg and Larry and Sergey, just to be clear. And I wrote this question down, but it was a joke like, are women getting out of control? Now she wants the same kind of control as the men. But I think it's really cool that someone does it and an investor goes with it. As an entrepreneur, I'm from the entrepreneurial side, so I just think it's awesome. But I don't know how you look at that. What do you think of it? I was wondering.
I'm curious where this is going to go. Just based on her experience as CEO over a weekend, I'm I'm just curious, how it's going to turn out, because right now it's really unpredictable. And I've been having this conversation a lot over the last few days, but we see that in technology there are a lot of inexperienced founders. And I'm not saying that Mira's inexperienced. I personally haven't even looked into her, but I'm just saying that because of all the crap that I've seen, I have trust issues.
Yeah, here's the thing. I wasn't an inexperienced founder. I was unemployed coming out of college. And then the first check I got was 19. Well, it was 12 million, but we ran over budget, so it was 19. So that could probably be a lesson. I didn't know what VAT was. So in the finance plans that we had, me and my buddies, we just thought all the revenue that comes in for our ISP is just for us. And then somebody goes, no, 19% you got to give to the... I said, got to do what? And the best part is we had three public companies as shareholders, and all of them had missed that in our budget, we did not forecast any sharing of proceeds with the government in the forms of sales tax. So I kept my job, even though I was an idiot, clearly. So I'm not against inexperienced founders. The difference here is, I think, when Mark Zuckerberg started and when Larry Page and Sergey Brin started, they didn't start with $1 billion. They started with a few $100,000, then a few million. And the most famous investment, of course, Peter Thiel, the former founder fund, brilliant investor, very criticized politically by everybody, but I don't care, because I don't care about people's political affiliations. That's for them. The interesting thing is, I think he put in, I could be wrong, 500,000 in Facebook, 500,000 for a few percent. The rumor is that he sold it for 2 billion. So it's still in venture capital. It's historically supposedly been the best investment ever. But again, 500,000, right? Andy Bechtolsheim, co-founder, Andreas Bechtolsheim, German, co-founder of Sun Microsystems, put money in Google, 50,000. Gave all the control clearly to the founders. Now, Andreessen Horowitz puts $1 billion in Mira Murati's new company and gave all control, and all checks and balances are on her side. She cannot be fired. She apparently has all the voting rights. So I think it increases the risk a lot, but here is the kicker. Investors want more AI companies, and Andreessen Horowitz reportedly is raising a $20 billion VC fund only to put in an AI company, because investors want exposure to the space. So you know what VCs then do? Hey, investors want to give me money. I get a fat management fee, and I'm going to get 20 to 25% of the profits. I'm going to invest in AI. So as long as the market is funding VCs will fund AI companies and give unprecedented amount of control to founders. Yeah, for sure. It's weird, but it's what's going on. To finish on this rant of investors putting money in VCs and VCs putting money into AI companies, OpenAI apparently has told its investors in the last investment round, when they raised $30 billion at a valuation of $300 billion, that they will generate 129 million, excuse me, that they will generate 129 billion in revenue within 4 years. They're doing about 15 billion in revenue and losing 5. Nice, eh? Revenue 15 billion, losing 5. So they are apparently on track. Okay. They say to generate 129 billion in revenue. And I'm thinking, on what? On $20 a month subscriptions, on API access for 200? They think they have an unsurmountable lead.
I don't know.
You think they're going to get there?
I'm telling you.
129 billion per year.
The AI orchestration protocols are going to end up killing this. I came across so many over the last week, and all of them are like, oh, why are you paying $20 for 5 different protocols? Pay us 18 and you get subscriptions into like 8 different AI tools.
So if that is the trend, then apparently then OpenAI or anyone else doesn't have an insurmountable lead in terms of quality and in terms of performance, that you can just replace them by others. And then makes it hard for them to think they can raise, it doesn't make it hard for them to think it, but it's hard for us to think that they will get to 129 billion revenue in 4 years. Anyway, so that's the market right now. Things are crazy.
Okay. So Eric Trump said that if banks don't watch what's coming, they will be extinct in 10 years. Is this what you were going to say?
I was trying to keep a straight face. I was trying to keep a straight face there because I don't know what Eric Trump's background is. I don't know much about the Trump family. But what I can say is that I don't know if he has brilliant insights into financial markets. So if Eric Trump is the source predicting banks will be extinct in 10 years, banks will never be extinct. Banks will move with it. Banks will adopt crypto when they're forced to.
They
will.
Thank you. That's how I feel.
You're welcome.
I don't think that you could ever get rid of a bank. We need banks. They're the reason that you have security on your money right now. You pay them a fee, but in return, every time someone uses your debit card or credit card, you know that you can rely on them. And that's a whole relationship behind banks. Every time you need a loan, I mean, these institutions are there for a reason. So,
and as a person, you know that when you're selling, so when you're buying and that the vendor is crooked, you get your money back from MasterCard. So there's this added level of security and in trust in the transaction that a financial institution like that brings that otherwise we don't have. Now, so I have one thing I wanted to tell you. So I sold all my stocks.
What do you mean?
Like I said, I sold my stocks. I still had Nvidia and Palantir. Gone. Then I did it quickly over the weekend. Because thinking, I think the market, it peaked enough now, came back enough, so I'm going to take my profit and then maybe go to crypto. Again, at Palantir, I was lucky. I got in at 13. I sold at 108.
That's insane,
so 13 to 108. Within 14 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. Long story short, then I thought, screw it, AI is going to be big. So I went back and I bought Broadcom. I got it all in Broadcom. So Broadcom chips, just so people know, the poor man's Nvidia for the I think Nvidia is going to get hit. I thought, let's do this. So I'm in Broadcom right now. That's it. Sold all my stocks, then went back and got Broadcom.
Interesting.
That's it. And we'll follow it over the next time. Yeah.
There's a trend. There's a trend that I've been hearing a lot, by the way, at Token. It's defense. Every token or every project wants to get involved in the defense industry now, and that kind of takes me back to what you were saying with Palantir. But it's so interesting to see where that's going to go because why is defense a new thing? Also, I met someone who builds bunkers in the mountains of Italy made out of marble.
And he wants to take. And you shouldn't go if he invites you. You shouldn't go, Nish. When a man says, he's check out my bunker.
He tokenizes them.
He tokenizes his bunker.
No, he tokenizes bunkers. So he builds them, tokenizes them. It's an RWA play, but quite interesting for the tinfoil hat, crypto enthusiasts.
People.
Yeah.
And does it come with meals ready to eat? Does it come with canned foods and tuna and all this kind of stuff?
I didn't ask.
You can get your own bunker.
I didn't ask.
You didn't ask?
I did not ask.
God,
no.
Pickup line. Hi, I'm in tokenized bunkers. Hi, what do you do?
On that note, thank you for joining us today. We hope that you guys had a great time and learned something new. And again, our podcast is never for financial advice. That's what NFA stands for. But also niche trackers and you. So thanks for joining. See you next weekend. And if you haven't already, like, share, subscribe, because that's the only way we grow.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.